Today has been a very sad day for crypto. And it's actually not because of the announcements that came today on its own, but it's a sign of what's yet to come and what's basically started that is not going to stop anytime soon. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, obviously has to do with crypto and its stance in the United States and things that are spiraling down right now as we speak. Basically, all throughout the last couple of days, I've been focusing my videos on talking about what the US SEC is doing. Hopefully, you guys have all been aware of the situation there with them pursuing more towards crypto type of enforcement and things of that nature. But what's been happening over the last 24 hours is just mind-boggling and sad. It all starts, by the way, to give you guys some insights here, with the US SEC going after Kraken. And again, it's not only about Kraken. Who cares about that? It's about, first of all, the fight between the SEC and Kraken. That's one very important thing. And second of all, what exactly they're fighting about. You know, it's the spirit to fight and actually resisting. And also, what exactly is it that you have to resist? And both of these are kind of messed up. And when I say kind of, I mean this is not good, guys. Again, guys, one thing I should say, I'm one of the most bullish people on crypto in the world. You will not see me one day selling my crypto because, man, I keep on buying. I don't really mind. I don't really mind. I'll just keep on buying. But in terms of the U.S.'s status on crypto, only specifically the United States, they're messing up, and they're messing up big time, guys. They're messing up big time. Take a look at some of this stuff. So to get you guys some idea, the SEC went after Kraken for their securities stuff. That's the best way I can put it. The Kraken did not really fight. They went for a settlement. I'm not sure exactly the number again, $20 million or so, but you can see Rand here saying, I feel really sorry for U.S. retail investors. The SEC is systematically stripping away any opportunity they have in the crypto world. In theory, I think this actually is a little bit broader even. I think the US, even though they often call it the land of the free, is really not so free when it comes to investing. You have way more rules for which platforms you can use. You have way more rules for when you're qualified enough to invest, which I think is funny. And you now have way more rules on your ability to make money in the crypto space, because apparently getting yield is not really allowed. And it seems that Gary Gensler is really proud of this all. Look at this. There's a little 3-minute video right here where he's explaining staking. Now, again, you have to understand the SEC is pretty much against staking, and that's also what they've made clear. Today, SEC charged Kraken for the unregistered offer and sale of securities through its staking as a service program. Whether it's through staking as a service, lending, or other means, crypto intermediaries must provide the proper disclosures and safeguards required by our laws. And I'm not against that, guys. Just in principle, I'm not against making sure that you have all the, basically rules set in place and that they have to follow them. But we saw before with Coinbase as well, they were too afraid to go for an earned product, and we've seen it with many other crypto companies in the US here. They're just too afraid because they don't fully understand the rules, yet they're being fully criticized and handled as if they should have known, if you guys get that drift. Anyway, we can watch this video in just a second, but take a look. Look On Chain posted the SEC announced that Kraken will end its US crypto staking service and pay $30 million to settle, which may benefit liquid staking derivatives like RPL and Lido. We noticed that some addresses were accumulating them, and Lido indeed did go for a pretty juicy pump straight afterwards. After this was all announced that Kraken was basically being looked at. Some addresses have bought a crazy amount, which again, people have been following, and this is indeed something that you have to keep in your head. The reason I'm making a live stream right now, rather than just making it a quick little video, is because things might spiral down from here. Again, the SEC now went after one platform, and they didn't really fight. What I mean with that is, well, Coinbase, they've tried, but they're also kind of whack with it. What I mean with that is, when we talked about the earned product before, they also just were like, you know what, let's give up. Let's not even attempt this. Kraken is different though. They had it, and then they were like, oh, let's take our hands off and just settle, which I understand because that's, from a financial perspective, sometimes pretty easy to do. But for the crypto space and the development of it, it's not that good. Brad House had 2 thoughts on it, which I'm going to share in just a second. Let's quickly see. Fred said there's no mincing words. Kraken, Jesse Powell, M. Santori all went out like today. Although HODL Law has won 1 billionth the funding of Kraken, when it comes to talking to or taking on the SEC, Kraken has won 1 billionth the cojones of HODL Law. Maybe not even that. No surprise, Tenero was involved in this as well. And somebody asked why. The forces people to self-custody and stake their own crypto instead of relying on a centralized exchange. How is that bad? Fred says, what you say is actually good. But that good effect, which was always an option anyway, is the result of a company and people tucking tail and bending the knee to a tyrannical force. Worse, they had the funds to fight it, yet they chose to not do that. Again, it's easy for all you guys to say that they should fight them because it ain't costing you a dime or a minute of your time, a bunch of armchair quarterbacks, which I think is funny. No, even if it did cost time or money in that sense, obviously not everybody has the funding that Kraken does, but Kraken could have fought it because it depends on your perspective. If you're talking purely from a business perspective, what they did is a very good choice. I agree, because it's very simple and $30 million just ain't that much for them. However, if we're talking about the advancements of the crypto space, what they've done is really selfish because, again, it just helps out them and really wrecks the entirety of the rest of the space, so to speak. And that's why I feel kind of sad for the US and crypto holders there, because things aren't necessarily going to get better from here. I'm not so sure exactly why they would in any way, shape, or form get better. By the way, guys, in the chat real quick, let me know where you're all watching from. I see a couple of you guys have already joined. Welcome. Sounds dramatic, Dusty? Yeah, it does, because it is kind of dramatic. Confused by the whole thing because all it says is that they want you to put up a disclosure. That is a disclosure. Yeah, so the thing is, it's not just about a disclosure. It's basically along the lines of, hey, these staking products, the way you're doing that, which any exchange has right now, it just can't be done with the way in which they want things. It's almost, I cannot really think of any way in which a crypto exchange in the US that's fully licensed can actually operate a staking product, because full disclosures, even then, I think that because of the way in which yield is generated, that it might just be too risky and yada yada, so that they can never really comply with those rules, if you guys get my drift. Oh, just follow our rules. Yeah, but if those rules are unattainable, you know. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase said, we will keep fighting for economic freedom, our mission at Coinbase. Some days being the most trusted brand in crypto, I don't think that's the case, but sure, means protecting our customers from government overreach, which is a nice little shout out, a nice little jab backwards. Stefan Livera said, Coinbase has promoted and sold so many scam coins. I disagree with that. I don't see how you can claim to be the most trusted brand. I do agree with that part. Except if you're supposed to get an airdrop from Flare. Yeah, it's a long story right there. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of funny in this chat box. Yeah, they also, again, I also have to come back on it. They also delisted XRP, and they were not really too supportive with a lot of these parts, so I can't say they're the most trusted or anything along those lines. But let's quickly come back to Brad Garlic House. Let's see, did I press the like button on his comments? I probably did. Here we go. There's two things which I think he said, but it's a long little thread. Stepping back for a moment from what's happening in the US, just in the last few weeks, the number of positive, or at least headed in the right direction of clarity, global regulation developments is energizing. Yeah, we've seen, for example, UK being pretty progressive and a lot of countries in the Middle East and whatnot. Continuing its history of being tech forward, Dubai, my hometown, just published an extensive new set of tech-agnostic rulebooks for crypto market participants, covering compliance standards, advertising, issuance, and much more. Australia's Treasury is looking to reform licensing and custody for crypto and bolster consumer protection. They recently published a token mapping consultation and are looking for public input before updating existing frameworks. And the UK HMT's new consultation reflects the government's intent to establish a proportionate, clear framework that allows firms to innovate while maintaining financial stability, an op for the UK to become the global crypto hub, as it previously announced its goal was to be, and South Korea's Financial Services Commission published guidelines that delineate what would be considered a security token versus a payment token and how those are separately governed. The list goes on, Brazil's new legislative framework, etc. Note the commonalities. These regulators are providing leadership and doing the work that we are desperately missing in the US. Unsurprisingly, this is where companies like Ripple are growing. So everywhere basically except for the US. But I believe he actually let another little bit go. I'm not so sure if it was here or a reply of some sorts. Okay, so here's a little bit of a fun one. If I look through the comments now, I can see somebody say a little bit of a misleading title. Coinbase isn't closing staking and are fighting. Let's come to one conclusion right here, my buddy. If you can't fathom why this is a very sad day, the fact that staking in the US is now really going on a downhill battle, and the fact that the SEC can pronk, or how can you say it in English, can like puff up and say, oh, look at what good we did. And the fact that Ethereum, which was at some point basically always left alone, as we've seen, is now also being attacked. If you can't see this as one of the most straight up attacks towards crypto, that's most likely only going to get worse from here. I don't think we can fit through the same door. I think we're just built a little bit differently, because you have to understand, all right? I'm not just talking out of my ass here, all right? Understand. Take a look at this. Update. Additional actions are coming from the SEC, and I've described this to you guys over the last couple of days. That's why I'm making this a very serious video. Let me actually show it to you. If you go on my channel right now, if you just go on my channel, one thing you'll notice is I made a video here about the SEC and one here. Why? Because in both of these scenarios, what I've noticed is they said, hey, we're going to go for more regulations, or no, sorry guys, for more cases in the crypto space. They're pursuing crypto in 2023. That's literally their statement. That's their goal of what they're going to do. We've seen them go after so many different parts throughout the last couple of days. I've been covering it because it's so important. And then today we're finding out, okay, these things are actually not coming along as nicely as we expected. Additional actions are coming from the SEC. Take a look. Source: exchanges and stablecoins issuers will be getting Wells notice in the coming days and weeks. Again, this is kind of unconfirmed, it seems, but okay. Specifically mentioned Circle and Paxos, the stablecoin issuers. It might be good in another couple of years or months or something like that. It might actually turn out that this was all very nice to get crypto regulations in order, under the thumb. For right now, though, it is only negative news. I can't really fetch anything positive out of it, and that's also why the crypto space moved down a little bit, and depending on what actions are brought in the next couple of days. So I'm saying watch out for that. The crypto space might actually get another little correction going, depending as well on what they do versus staking in the near future here. Are they going to go after more firms? Because again, one has settled easily, so they can kind of potentially continue on this road, or what's going to happen? Wells Notice is a notification issued by regulators to inform individuals or companies of completed investigations where infractions have been discovered. It usually takes the form of a letter, which notifies recipients both of the broad nature of the violations. Show more. Let's check it out. Uncovered, as well as the nature of the enforcement proceedings to be initiated against the recipient. So again, understand that this might be coming up. They might be investigating all these different stablecoin issuers right now, and a couple of cases might be brought in the near future. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I don't want to be the guy promoting FUD or anything like that, but let's be realistic here, guys. US crypto stuff, it just ain't in a good position right now. The rest of the world is growing so fast. Things are moving so well. But for some reason, and also tweeted it out, I guess it might have to do with this individual right here, but for some reason, the US is just going the exact opposite approach of doing things well. They really just want to take things down. And I don't understand why. Why do they want this so bad? Why do they want to take it down? What is their benefit in all this? I still do not fully understand exactly what they mean to gain. Even banking giants, some of them are saying, hey, crypto's here to stay, even though a lot of those banks, they know. And actually, again, I have some theories for this, by the way. You might say it's just the banks. The reason I'm showing this case here is actually a broader story. There are part of these banks which know, hey, the staking and all these yields, we can't conform with those rules. We can't conform with the fact that a staking platform or an exchange is often seen as some sort of bank, right, as well, can offer 20% a year or 7% a year, pick a number, where a bank in Europe has minus, in some other places has like plus 0.06% a year or whatever. They can't compete with that. So what do? Hey, let's call in a favor at our friend. Let's take these motherfucking things down. Because that's honestly how it seems to be happening, because otherwise it doesn't really make a lot of sense. How are you protecting people from taking away their yield? That's a good question. That's really a good question. I've been thinking about that. Is it because people are afraid, and people, I'm talking about these guys in the suits, are afraid that people will switch from the dollar to more crypto and keep it locked up on these platforms, and thus, what? Because you can say, oh, they're just afraid of people locking their money up abroad. Well, you know, for US people, it's like the only way you can still stake is if you go abroad. So by betting it only internally, you're just making more money flow out of your country. I don't know exactly what that's a smart thing at all, you know? Oh, they're just protecting investors. They're going to go for riskier places. That's the realistic notion behind all of it. a lot of these banks as well know, hey, this crypto stuff is here to stay. It's only going to keep on growing. Let's just adapt it. Let's adopt it. Let's be excited about it to kind of showcase our real side. A lot of these other banks, however, are saying, no, crypto will crash. It's all garbage because, again, they see it as a big threat. And maybe Gary Gensler, because of his past years, is too much involved in this other little world of things. I don't know. Ever since the whole FTX drama unfolded, I just really don't trust this man for 1%. Let's quickly listen to his little video right here. Let's quickly check this out if we can. I think we can.
What does stake have to do with our securities laws? That's S-T-A-K-E, not S-T-E-A-K. In the crypto markets, there are various ways to validate data stored on crypto ledgers called blockchains. And one of these ways is called staking. Investors lock up their tokens in escrow and help validate the next block of data. Some stakers are then rewarded with new tokens. Staking, though, can be complicated and time-consuming and can take big upfront commitments of tokens. There's also the risk that you won't get new tokens even if you stake. Thus, crypto entrepreneurs started offering what's called staking as a service. No, not like the steakhouse. Basically, if you transfer your tokens to a staking as a service provider, they take control, possibly pooling your tokens with thousands or millions of others while promoting returns. But here's the rub. When a company or platform offers you these kinds,
I have to quickly come in here and say something. You might be looking at this and thinking, oh, wait a minute. Let's take a little. First of all, why does he talk so freaking slow? I can't stand that. It's too slow for me, guys. Maybe if you're older, this is easier. And thank you for the $2, Smithy, saying it's all to protect the US dollar and the DXY, buddy. I can't say anything against that. It makes sense that that's indeed what they're after. You can't argue against that logic. Anyway, do you know how much it takes to stake Ethereum? 32 ETH. Do you understand how difficult it is to run everything yourself? It's not simple. Why do I not do it? Me personally, because I have my ETH somewhere. Because it's actually a chore. You actually have to think about the servers. You have to think about these parts. I'd rather just give it to somebody and let them take a percentage. It's just the best way to do it. It's also safer because if you're not the best tech geek, yeah, you don't want to be accountable for, at some point, millions of dollars under your own control by you not knowing what you're doing. Self-custody is one thing. Self-staking is another. And it's honestly, for a lot of different cryptos, pretty difficult to get the complete hang of. With some, it's just as simple as 3 clicks, right? But some, you need to host a lot of stuff yourself. For example, talking about how to set up a node. Is it simple? Well, it depends on your perspective, but is it something a lot of people just don't want to do? For sure. I'd say the majority of crypto people are not in a position where they understand these parts, nor do they have to, because luckily there are enough others that will. So an exchange then pooling your funds together to provide you this service is one of the most logical things in this world, and promising you a return, as long as that return is less than what they're getting, so they're taking a fee. I don't see that as anything bad, and I don't know how you can flip this to be a bad thing. Because basically, as far as I've heard now, and we're going to listen to another 2 minutes, but as far as I heard now, it's just hey, you can either do it yourself, which is risky and pretty difficult, or you can give it to somebody that's literally their job to do this, that knows exactly how to do it because that's literally what they do, and then give them a percentage. But let's see.
Kinds of returns, whether they call their services lending, earn, rewards, APY, or staking, that relationship should come with the protections of the federal securities laws. That means you, the investor, should receive important disclosures. For example, what do they actually do with your tokens? Are they really staking them? Are they lending, borrowing, or trading with them? Are they commingling them with their other businesses? Where do the rewards come from? Are you getting your fair share? Are the underlying crypto protocols genuinely creating value on your investment? Or are they just new tokens that dilute the value of ones you already have? Remember, if you have...
I should add there, is that bad? If, hypothetically speaking, all right, I'm a little bit down below. If, hypothetically speaking, they're diluting, that's basically like a network that has a set amount of tokens, and whenever you stake, Because you're always diluting it if there's like wait, what? It's 2 times the same thing. If it's creating value, and the main purpose of creating value is just to interact with the network, then why should you get a yield? And if creating value means you're participating with the network, for example, by validating something or whatever for staking, and in return you're getting new tokens, obviously it's going to dilute, right? I'm not so sure exactly how that's I'm a little bit low. How that's a strange thing.
Crypto protocols genuinely create.
I must again also say I do agree with some of what he says, right? It's not bad and it's not crazy. I agree if these guys have to explain whether or not they're actually staking or not. I agree. Of course I agree with that.
Creating value on your investment, or are they just new tokens that dilute the value of ones you already have? Remember, if you have a stake, that's S-T-E-A-K. If you have a stake meant for 2 and cut it into 3 pieces, it's still the same amount of stake. Unfortunately, because these staking as a service providers generally are not providing proper disclosures, there's currently no reliable way as an investor to know the answers to these important investment questions. Plus, when you sign on the dotted line or accept the terms of service, you are generally agreeing that placing your tokens with these providers may mean transferring your ownership to them. There's an expression in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. You see, you're basically an investor in their platform. If it goes under, and we've seen plenty of that recently,
partially because of you, but
end
all right.
up in line in the bankruptcy court. That's why it's so important that these companies and platforms comply with the securities law. After all, the securities laws, regardless of what you think of stake or staking, they're good for investors.
Oh my God, why? Why did you do this? Why would you do the stake thing? I think that demographic, the target audience was around, 7 years old here, assuming from the narrative of this video, or potentially 75 plus. No, maybe 70 plus. I'd say. Anybody in the chat that's 70 plus years old? Perhaps this was your video. You enjoyed this a lot. Maybe could be. Look at Gary Gensler talk about steak. Maybe. Hey, I don't judge, man. If that's your thing, we cool. All right, we cool. It just wasn't me. Now, let's get some thoughts here. Is this bad? 50-50. The speech itself is pretty clear in the sense that, well, all they have to do is just explain what they're doing. I can't be against that. However, let's do a step back here. Why was Coinbase Earn being frowned upon? Why did Kraken have to get rid of something? If staking, all they have to do is just say, hey, we're actually putting money here, or we're just using your Ethereum for this and that, and then everything was fine, then where's the problem? Why would anybody ever get a fine? Well, what's the big deal? The problem comes in what he says regarding this. If you have a stake, we have to talk about his analogy right now, a food type of steak, right? And you split it up 3 ways, it's still one steak. And I think that's exactly what they're getting towards in the sense of what exactly is staking? When are you creating value? And again, instead of making rules, instead of making it very clear exactly what that means, it's like hold up, all right? We are now internally going to decide what exactly defines as value and enough, and what is good, what is bad. We're not going to tell you, we're going to think of it though. And the moment you're not complying with those rules and not properly disclosing something which you couldn't have known, we're going to come after your ass and we're going to beat you up. That's kind of what the SEC has done and what they keep continuing to do. And right now, again, it kind of seems as that's exactly their goal, to make sure nobody understands exactly what the frick they mean, because the speech is very clear, but the actions in the speech are 2 very different things, because there's a couple of key concepts that they're not properly explaining. What exactly defines this providing actual value? When exactly do you do that? All right. I mean, with XRP, for example, it cannot really be staked in any way, shape, or form. So if indeed there are returns given, I understand there should be a disclosure as to where they're coming from. But it's also not being diluted in any way, shape, or form. So that kind of goes against all their principles. So which exact coin then? Cardano. If you're staking, you're getting a part of the transaction fees for also being involved with the platform and, basically validating stuff. So it's the logical sense that because you participate in the process of baking the cake, basically, that you get a part of the end result, or I guess the part of the... but you are diluting the entire token supply because, well, more is being created. So is that then bad? Follow the definition. Is that good? And the same thing goes for Ethereum. Is it bad when you participate that you get Ethereum back? I mean, following their definition, I don't really know. And again, we have to understand here as well, one core principle as to why it's so bad is because Kraken did not fight. If they just came up and said, well, we do give proper disclosures, which I don't know if they do, by the way. Don't quote me on that. But if they did say, hey, we do give proper disclosures, and if we don't, then just enlighten us and we'll do so. But we just don't know what to do. I would be here, just cheering them on and giving them a big thumbs up. Right now, I'm like, screw Kraken. I really hope that they go down with the rest of them, because what in the world was this? Why give up? That's literally, they're promoting the crypto pitfall here and agreeing with the SEC. Why would they do that? Again, settling with the SEC is one of the worst things you can do, unless it's after a long fight and this is just the only way out, for example. Right now, they didn't fight at all. They were just like, you know what? We're ending our crypto staking service. Why? Understand this, guys. Please resonate with me here. Why would you need to end your staking services if all you have to do is explain where the money comes from? Understand that. Following his speech, all he said was, if you're giving people some return, which, by the way, have you ever asked your bank exactly what they're investing your money into? I've never asked that, but I've always had a savings account. I've never had them give me a full detailed letter of, hey, we've actually we've pooled your money around with others, like with staking, and we invested in this, that. Never heard that before. I've never seen a little letter on top of my doorstep to explain it to me. It's probably somewhere if I look online, but I'd assume that Kraken would have some sort of outline as well of what they're doing to get these funds. If it's nowhere, then all they had to simply do was get a list of what exactly they're invested their money into, and it would have been fine, right? Following that speech. But no, it's hidden in this stake analogy of, well, if you're just splitting that, because almost all networks, they dilute the supply by staking. You get more tokens in there, which you're getting a part of. And I think that's the most important part underneath it all that he's not really making clear. It is, if there's more coins being generated because of your activities here, and it's following their definition, not creating enough value, then it's basically a shkabam and they should be stopped. Yeah, I think that's the underlying part about it all. By the way, everybody, if you're enjoying these daily crypto updates, make sure you press that like button. Live with the M's says, I'm more worried about Crow. Why? Because of the yield? But Crypto.com is not based in the U.S. And is Kraken based in the U.S.? I thought for a bit they were, U.S. Because I think Jesse Powell is U.S., right? And Crypto.com is international, I think. Or is it also based in the U.S.? No, I don't think so, right? Is it? But you do have is Crypto.com based in the U.S.? I don't believe so. But I could be surprised if it was. Uphold still has earn accounts for now. Well, just assume for right now that every U.S. exchange that has earn will have a lot of trouble. And things are going to start coming for them. Stablecoins are going to get a lot of trouble recently here. And again, the SEC is going to go deeper after crypto in 2023. So be prepared for more negativity. As we see with FTX, this is what can dump the crypto market. That's why I'm putting a big warning as a thumbnail here. The big warning here is, if the SEC indeed continues on like this, without making proper rules, just saying something and doing the opposite, things might not get as good for the crypto space on the short term. I'd still say, if you take the span of about a year and a half, we'll still continue to go up, and I'm still extremely bullish. I still keep on buying crypto every single day, guys. Don't worry about it. But, And regarding staking, by the way, the best thing to still always do is just stake in your own. I agree. Or know people that are trustworthy to that degree that can do it. So, for example, with Ethereum, the best way to do it is yourself. But it's kind of cumbersome, not going to lie, right? To stake Ethereum is kind of cumbersome. Not to mention that it's, for a lot of people, it's a lot, 32 Ethereum, right, to stake that. On the contrary, if you're just talking about holding your coins, yeah, ledgers and things of that nature are always the best. I cannot argue against that at all. Just checking what you guys are saying here as well. DCA, I buy crypto every single day. There's not a day that's gone by in a whole long time that I've not bought crypto. I can't remember the last day I didn't buy anything. This time, though, I bought like very early in the morning, like at 1 a.m. or something, because the crypto space was moving down at that point. So I already bought my my chances today. Life them says, sorry, I could be misinformed. I came in late. No worries about it. I agree with you for the most part. But I'm not so sure why exactly you're worried about crypto.com. Paul says, how could you stake a stablecoin? Depends. It depends on the stablecoin. It depends on the pair. So there's a couple different things in theory that could happen. One is liquidity providing. If we're talking about a platform that is a decentralized exchange, for example, you can make money from the fact that you're providing money to the pool. Let's say we have two stables, which again usually have lower rates than a stable and a other coin, but you're providing liquidity. And what you're doing is you're allowing people to swap between these two, and you're getting a percentage of the fee for that, right? For actually providing the money for them to swap. So that is one thing you can generate yield on. And in theory, you're getting yield in LP tokens, which you can then transfer back to, the stablecoin which you want to have. But that's one thing. Another thing which they often do is actually just get profit from something. A good example is Nexo, I believe. So again, guys, I've been in this space for so freaking long. I know all these exchanges, all these platforms pretty well from speaking to them and speaking to others about them, right? There's a lot of this backstabby culture going on. What I've heard from Nexo, I'll give you guys the scoop, is that they give you yield on almost every single coin out there. Not because they are actually able to generate any yield on there. It's not that liquid. For example, Australian dollar stablecoin, they didn't generate any yield on that. With the USDT that they have, the US dollar tether, they're able to generate some yield from either investments or whatever, or lending it out, things of that nature. And they're just basically having that FX risk as a one, and then the second of the investment going bad. That's a double risk that some companies are doing. It's a little side note. But with USDT, most of the time, or USDC, it's either liquidity providing or investments of sorts or borrowing of sorts. Or, yeah, I'd say that's the biggest two things. Liquidity providing or investments. I suppose, no, because it all comes back down to liquidity providing. I suppose locking it up on their platform could also be internal liquidity providing, for which they give you a part of the fees. But that would also still constitute as liquidity providing. Liquidity providing basically meaning you give your, that's this, in theory, is the same thing as saying how can a bank generate yield on the money that you put in, right? Well, they invest it or they provide liquidity by borrowing, lending it out, which is basically liquidity providing still. And it's not as if these guys don't make a ton of money, by the way. They'll still continue to make money. It's just that now you're not able to get a part of it anymore. Igor, no, that's the funny thing about this. Let's see, what did Igor say? Igor says banks do the same thing with your money. Do they tell you where your extra money comes from? That's exactly what I just said. A bank, as I said just now, I've never had any letter from my banks explaining to me what exactly they've done with my money. But I know it's being invested because I have savings accounts. And I know that's what they do. That's the whole business behind it. Is it possible to see, though? Most likely it is. But I'd say that the same thing can be done for these crypto exchanges. So I don't know why ever a platform like Kraken would have to actually end their service. That would mean, again, I personally say, if Kraken is ending their service, they were doing some sketchy stuff on an FTX type of level. Otherwise, following the speech that we all just listened to, why would they ever need to take it off? They could just, give some disclosures and be fine, right? Kraken was charged for the unregistered offer and sale of securities through its staking as a service program. Are you understanding what they're saying? They've been charged with the offer and sale of securities, unregistered securities. Yet again, it is not as simple as they didn't properly disclose something. No. No, it goes so much deeper than that. Be warned, the SEC is not going after the legitimate criminals. They're going after the ways in which you are able to make money, for as far as I understand. This is not about protecting your money. If they really thought that was the case, why word it this way? And why? Oh, my days, guys. Again, a couple parts of which they say are true. They said if push comes to shove and Kraken goes down, you're at the end of the line to get your money back. That's true. But the rest of the story still doesn't make it any better. Igor says, do we have some news from the SEC later today? Potentially. I mean, the whole of 2023 is about to get pretty crazy, so I'd say be prepared for some shit show type of news and updates in the near future here. I wouldn't be too surprised if tomorrow all of a sudden the SEC did something ridiculous again. I wouldn't be too surprised to see some sort of announcement of the SEC just going after a lot of other crypto exchanges or something else like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of this stuff right now, guys. I really would not be too surprised. Let's see.
We at the SEC have a role to put something out to notice and comment, do the economic analysis, and really see what investors are saying. It's really in that narrow set of chalk lines that we're operating. We at the SEC have a role to put something.
Wow, I'm so proud of the SEC. This makes no sense because Kraken had to completely get rid of their staking service. Gary is destroying crypto innovation, and as a result, we're going to fall behind other countries, which again is true. Yeah, it's true. Did Gary, by the way, work at a bank before? I don't remember, in the Bahamas, all that stuff. I'm not sure exactly who was where exactly. Bankless says, why are you restricting opportunities for U.S. citizens, Gary? You're preventing crypto wealth from staying inside the U.S. I agree. Kraken has been serving U.S. customers for 12 years now. Now capital will go to sketchy offshore platforms like it did with FTX. Again, I agree. I don't know exactly why. Somebody has a different opinion on the matter. This individual here, Educator, says, you're mad because SEC is restricting you from the opportunity of earning referral commissions for encouraging your audience to give up their keys to earn a small yield, inevitably losing all their money in the likely event of insolvency. Stop wrecking your audience. Okay, that's a hot take, I guess. Some people have that opinion as well. I guess people can have different opinions on the matter. That's an interesting one. Give up their keys to earn a small yield. I guess this is not really a believer in DeFi to that nature, because in theory here, it's like anything you're doing in terms of, like, for example, lending it out on a DeFi platform has the risk of either insolvency in the literal nature of the platform just goes broke, or some sort of crash or some sort of error. But very often the yield is, what you're looking for, what you're after. So I'm not so sure exactly how this can be, thumbed up. It's a hot take, but I guess some people will agree with that. And there's something to be said about it, for the fact that, you're putting your money on exchanges is, by definition, riskier than keeping it on your own, but it's worth something because of the return that you get. So I guess it's 50-50 on that one. SEC! Fuck the SEC! Oh, no, I didn't know they were going to curse like that. Woo, I try to always be and Coin Bureau even said, this isn't the W you think it is, mate. Oh, yeah. This is just not good. Actually, little thing about Cardano. It's funny for me to see all these people that are actually against crypto staking as well. And people are so much calling everything out to be a scam. It's kind of funny. If I sometimes make some short videos as well on one of my other channels, I usually see in the comment section, a little FYI, I'll show it to you guys. For anybody that's a loyal viewer to my channel, let me actually share this with you guys. If you guys are appreciating, hey, make sure you check out my second channel as well. This is called Dusty Finance, or The Business Realm. Check it out. If I ever make a video about crypto, though, guys, what I notice is there's actually an army of people that always come on by to say, crypto scam, crypto scam. It's funny to me that on my main channel, obviously, there's only one in every, let's say, 150 people that says crypto is a scam. But there's like the main force. I never have seen any positive remarks on crypto. I've only seen negative ones. And it's quite peculiar. Just a little fun fact. But there's so many crypto haters out there still. And I guess maybe that's why Gary Gensler feels so good, because there's a lot of people in the banking world who are saying, congratulations, Gary. You're getting rid of all these scammers in our space. But yeah. Guys, that was it for today's little stream here. Little update on the SEC situation. Things are bad. If you enjoyed it, make sure you press the like button. We can instantly get to 100 likes right now if everybody presses that button. It would be greatly appreciated. And I'll probably be back later tonight with another XRP type of update, because, we're almost at the end of the season. We're almost at the end of the lawsuit, which I think is quite exciting. There's a lot of other cool stuff to cover. So I'll get back to you guys with some more news if I do find it. And again, if you enjoyed it, guys, make sure you quickly press the like button on it. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow in another crypto video. But yeah, this is not good, but it is kind of what it is.